Well, I don't know if you've seen images of, well, what are really Democratic Alliance posters with the image of the former leader, Mmusi Maimane, on them in this election campaign. You can imagine the confusion. Mmusi Maimane, yeah, he's not the leader of the Democratic Alliance. In fact, he left the party 2 years ago. So how did it happen? Well, it turns out the posters, we understand, were put up by the Cape Muslim Congress Party. The leader of the Cape Muslim Congress, he's also a councillor in the city of Cape Town, is Yagyah Adams. Yagyah, good afternoon to you. What happened? How did you end up with these posters?
Thank you very much for having me on your program. I ended up with the posters when I bought them from a business person who had bought it from someone else, and he was willing to sell it because nobody else wanted to buy it. So when I went to his warehouse in Kommetjie, I found that he had racks of thousands upon thousands of these posters. And because there were no other posters available in the land, I'm not going to mention it, but someone bought up all the posters that was available in all of the country. And these were the only posters that were available, and it was a very good price, and it was recycled board. And as a person that is socially and environmentally conscious, I didn't want to use anything else like plastics that was going to harm the environment. And so I bought this board at a very good price, and then I had them done over with our posters.
So you had them done over with your posters. What happened after that? Mmusi Maimane is not your leader, is he?
No, definitely not. In fact, I had to apologize to Mmusi for that. But what transpired was, it's a very strange incident. We bought more than 2,000 posters. In fact, I think we bought about 2,500. And then what happened was, the first thing that happened was, the incident seems to be connected only to the Grassy Park, Wynberg area. 70% of all the posters that was hung there were vandalized. And 70% of all the posters that were vandalized were from the Grassy Park, Wynberg area. And from the entire Cape Metropole, only 30% of the posters were damaged. Now, that says that something went wrong in terms of the Grassy Park, Wynberg area, because we hung posters in the Sea Point area, we hung posters in the Bellville area, on the borders of Stellenbosch, in Blackheath, in Wormy Estate, in Mitchell's Plain, in Lavender Hill, in Tafelsig, all over the city of Cape Town. And most of these posters were unaffected. It was only the batch that went to Grassy Park and to Wynberg. And that is why I am very suspicious of what transpired in that specific part of the city. We had a professional company do the boards professionally, and they are convinced that foul play is at foot, because why is it that out of the more than 2,400 boards that we had purchased and that was done, only 100 was affected. Okay. And of that, 70% was in Grassy Park and in the Wynberg area.
So, okay, you had these posters, they were DA posters, they had Mmusi Maimane on them. When you say you were going to reuse them, you had a company to do, what did they actually do? Did they put a great big sticker over them? Did they paint over them? What did they do?
They, in actual fact, glued our poster over Mmusi's poster up, and they used a quality product, and it's a professional company. I do not want to use the name of the company because it would be embarrassing for the company, but it was a professional company and a professional job was done. And that is what our query is. If 2,300 posters were okay, why was 100 posters not okay, and why was it only in the Grassy Park, Wynberg area that was affected?
Okay, but if it was I'm sorry, Yagyah, but I mean, if it was a professional job, why was it so easy to take the sticker off?
Well, I'm not a person that is knowledgeable about, gluing and manufacturing of poster board. But I can't answer that. What I can say is it seems as if a liquid was thrown onto the board itself, which caused the 100 posters in that affected area to almost melt off the board.
Okay. Who do you think did it?
Look, I can speculate, and I have my suspicions, but to avoid, needless lawsuits and counter accusations, I would prefer not to say, but I want to say to those that are responsible that initially in the Grassy Park, Wynberg area, we hung more than 100 boards, and those first 100 boards were stolen. We know that. Then we went back to hang another 100 boards, and 70% of those boards were damaged. So We are not going to stop. This weekend, we are going to hang another 100 boards in the Grassy Park, Wynberg area, because we want the communities to know out there that the Cape Muslim Congress, the CMC, is not afraid to participate in this municipal election. We don't have a great deal of fun, but we will be participating because this is our democracy. This is a municipal election. We have won 2 elections before this. I've been a municipal councillor for almost 20 years. I have a history of service delivery, and I'm not going to be frightened by this or any other type of shenanigans. I'm going to continue delivering services to the community that I serve. I'm going to continue serving the broader community and the Muslim community in Cape Town specifically. That is my mandate. That is what I've done. That is what I'm going to continue to do. And I'm not frightened off by whatever activities those living in those regions who caused this damage to our posters have done. I am not frightened by that, and I'm going to continue doing the work that I'm doing.
So, I mean, Councillor, I appreciate the sentiment. But on your version, what you're saying is that you had these posters. Someone would have needed to know how you'd done these posters, that you'd put a sticker on. And then they had some substance, which they would have had to do quite quickly because they clearly weren't caught, on your version, that melted the sticker away and did it in such a way that you could still see very clearly what was going on underneath. It didn't actually destroy the cardboard underneath. It just destroyed your sticker and left the picture of Mmusi Maimane on it. Isn't it much more likely that the company that you contracted to do this did a bad job? I mean, isn't that much more likely than an unnamed person that you don't want to name committing an act of sabotage in one particular area and not in others?
Well, the strange thing is we are not the only political party whose posters that has happened to. I've seen the ARA posters, and they used a board from the ACDP. And something similar has happened to their posters as well in the same area. Look, even if you go through the Athlone, Rylands area, there are posters of other political parties who also used other political parties' old posters. And I'm not going to mention those names. You can go and see it for yourself. And those posters were also melted off the board. And ironically, there are a number of independent persons in the Crawford, Rondebosch East area where the posters were literally ripped off the board. You can see half of the poster still on and half of the poster off. And that person did complain. It was an article in the August newspaper because someone literally went to Rondebosch East, Sabrand Park, Crawford, Rylands area and ripped every single poster of this independent candidate. And half of the posters are still hanging on the boards, and you can see that it's been ripped. So what I'm suggesting to you is that the Cape Muslim Congress is not the only party that has experienced this. It seems to be an ongoing thing on the Cape Flats area, but specifically in the Grassy Park, Wynberg area.
Do you think this is going to affect you in the elections? Do you think it's going to affect the outcome? I mean, from what you're saying, it's targeted sabotage, so someone did it on your version.
You see, we've been active over the last 3 terms already. We've got a history of service delivery. We've got a history of reporting back to the community. We've got a history of when you call the Cape Muslim Congress, I pick up the telephone and we resolve your query. We are active on the ground, and we've been active for many, many years. So what we're hoping for is that the community remembers the service that we have delivered over the last decade, and not be that concerned about the poster, but know that we've been there for the community. We've done the work. We've got a track record. I can mention 100 things off the top of my head of what we've achieved for the community. So our focus is that we've done the work. We've earned the vote, and the community needs to trust us for better quality service, lower rates, lower water, lower electricity, and lower sewage charges, and obviously affordable housing for the less fortunate. We've got a track record of delivering services for a very long time. And this is incident, it's an unfortunate incident. We don't like what's happening, but I clearly am not going to go in the middle of the night to find out who's doing this. I also want to make mention that it is the responsibility of the law enforcement, the police, to go and investigate this. And yesterday I sent a picture to your journalist at Newzroom Afrika to show what's happening in the observatory Woodstock area, where the vagrants are removing the posters and building shelters for themselves a week before the election. And there was one of my posters, one of the DA posters, an ANC poster, and a good poster that was removed, and this guy was building himself a shelter in front of the Groote Schuur Hospital with a board.
Well, couldn't he argue it's the only thing political parties have done for him?
That's quite funny.
That's also
just
true.
remember, we are aware. That's quite funny. Well, he does have a house now. It's an illegal structure, and it's not in a good space. It's in the main road near the bus terminus, and where the Grooteskeer intersection is. I don't think he's going to get much sleep there because there's an enormous amount of traffic throughout the day and night. I would suggest that the law enforcement do their job and see what's going on, because it is a criminal offense to mess around with other people's posters.
Sure.
And the stuff is being removed. It's obvious to see because the vagrant is sitting on it, is lying on it, is building himself a house with it, and the law enforcement is driving past. Now, it is not my responsibility to go and fight with the vagrant over the poster that he's stolen.
Yeah, I think I'm going to disagree with you on that. I think so long as he takes one from each party, I think I'm with him. He's not there because he wants to be there, that's for sure. Councillor Yagyah Adams, I appreciate the time and the explanation. Thank you. The leader of the Cape Muslim Congress. You heard the conversation that he's made there. We do have to go and find an image of the person who's made a house with the political party posters. Well, in other news today, a Brazilian inquiry looking into the government's handling of COVID-19 is